I was diagnosed with breast cancer right at the very beginning of the pandemic. Not a great time to have a diagnosis. Any time, but a good time really. So yeah, February, March of last year. I'd never actually examined myself before. I'd gone to get a smear, and then my nurse said, "Have you ever done a massage or as of checked yourself in any way?" And I said, "You know what? My boobs are so big, I wouldn't know what a lump and what was a bump." So I kind of like walked away, and she said, "You know what, Irene, just do it, just do it." And I went, "Okay, okay." So went home, and about 2 weeks later, I thought, well, why don't I do it? As if I've just been for a smear, and now why don't I actually examine myself? So I sat there one day, first time, massaged myself, found out that I actually had a lump on my left breast. Kind of like, scary, what's this? First time I'd ever examined myself, I actually found I had a grade 2, 2.5 centimetre breast cancer. Very frightening, very frightening. I had surgery straight away, which was really, really good. And that brought quite a lot of challenges. Suddenly you had to do exercises and the impact of those, but the whole scary thing of suddenly I've got cancer. I've always been really fit. I've always done lots of work in the gym, a bit of a gym bunny. And then suddenly, my body has suddenly let me down, and the whole fear factor of suddenly now I've got this cancer. They found out I had to have chemo. Originally, I wasn't meant to have chemo, but some of the work that they did to examine what type of cancer that I had identified that I needed actually chemo. So I had 4 rounds of chemo and then radiotherapy. My cancer is an estrogen eater, so it feeds off estrogen. At that time, I was still having periods, which is why I had, obviously had some estrogen in my body. So then they had to put me on hormone therapy, which is, for me, was tamoxifen, which actually takes out all of the estrogen in your body, or stops certainly producing any estrogen. And that obviously brings a lot of challenges. So as if I had this expectation, I would have, I've got it, they've taken it out, this cancer is on a jar somewhere, it's not in my body. I'd have the chemo, and that would stop anything else coming back, and have the radiotherapy, we would blast anything that may have been left behind, and then I'd walk away and I would just carry on my life. But that actually wasn't the case. That isn't the case. Having cancer and living with cancer, because you always will, you live with the fear of it coming back, you live with the emotional impact that it has on you as a person, as of having to cope and accept what's happened, the physical changes in your body, and obviously the impact that it has to your family around you and to your friends, and how you move forward. I think they are the kind of biggest changes, and suddenly you feel very different. And people talk about the new you, as of when you have cancer, you become this new person, and actually you do, but you just don't know what that is. There's a lot of guilt, and a lot of the fear what's happened, and fear of the future. The things like the tamoxifen, that actually makes you, in itself, makes you feel quite anxious. So you have those stresses and strains caused by something which is actually meant to be helping you, actually causes you another problem. Suddenly your bones are stiff. So suddenly you wake up and you're an old lady. I was 56. And so, I took tamoxifen, takes you straight into the menopause. So for me, I was 56. I was getting there. But suddenly you wake up in the morning and your joints are stiff, your muscles are stiff, you're aching, and suddenly you become this old lady. And having been really fit and healthy beforehand, this has been a struggle for me, to kind of accept this new person. But acceptance is part of the recovery, really. But certainly, as of the physical elements of your body, so the tamoxifen also feels you very tired. So you get a lot of fatigue, and suddenly doing all the things that you did before. Suddenly, you have to think, well, actually, I can't do that now. A small price to pay for not having cancer, but you actually want to get on with your life. So certainly doing fitness and keep fit and keeping well was a main thing for me to do. And through the treatment that I had, I did things that I thought were going to help me, and also to try and, for the future as well, to try and make myself healthy in the future. One of the first types of alternative therapies that I got introduced to was straight after surgery, really. With surgery under the breast, I managed to keep my breast. I just had a lumpectomy to get the cancer removed. I managed to keep my breast. Obviously people who have a mastectomy, it's just keeping your shoulders and your arms moving. There's obviously tugs on your scar tissue and post-surgery, and they encourage you to move as much as possible. So the first thing I probably got introduced to was yoga, and it was by my breast cancer nurse, to try and keep me as flexible as possible. As I said, I had been really quite fit, and it was kind of something that I could actually do and keep going. But also as well, from a physical point of view, it was good. It was excellent, really, because I could move myself. I could the breathing techniques as well. From an emotional point of view, it helped me be stronger, or keep my strength, keep the muscle that I'd actually attained, and I could keep that up. Core muscles. Doing something. It was really good to think I was actually, from being a fit person before, I was actually keeping doing some exercise, both for the now, but also for the future as well. And it's actually something that I've actually kept up on. And so every day I do my stretches. The tamoxifen actually inhibits and dries up all your bones and your joints. So in the morning, when you wake up, you are aching, and you walk to the toilet like a little penguin because your ankles don't bend at that point in time, and you need to kind of stretch and move those joints in the morning so you can start your day. Otherwise, they just aren't happy. They just aren't happy at all. So yoga has been a big thing for me, and then once in the morning I do my stretches and get my yoga, I can start the day, and then possibly I can go down to the gym and do something better. But it's vital for me in the morning to get those joints moving and get them bending at some point in time. But certainly from an emotional point of view as well, it enabled me to do breathing techniques. So when there's a lot of fear or a lot of spins, I said at the beginning through my treatment, the fear of what today is going to bring, what treatment that you're in at the moment, when's going to be my next chemo, all the radiotherapy and the impact of the radiotherapy, it enabled me to take some time for myself in the morning, my own little therapy, go off into the quiet room, do my yoga, feel good of myself from a body point of view, but also just take some time in the morning just to kind of sort myself out, sort your head out, relax, take down that anxiety, think about there and now, what you're going to do today, and a preparation of what's going to happen. So actually, yeah, yoga was really good. One thing I used to do in the morning as well was meditation that I got into from a great friend. that brought, you know, with cancer, it's a lot of fear and anxiety, fear about what's going to happen today, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen with your treatment, with your treatment work, you know, the guilt of having this disease, the impact it has on your family, the distress that actually brings. You know, it's kind of like your body let you down, and blaming yourself, really. So meditation was a great help to me. I think acceptance of what you've got, acceptance of where you are, acceptance that actually, you know, it wasn't your fault, it happened. It happens to 55,000 people, women, every year. You know, I'm one of those 55,000. And there's a lot, you know, a lot of us. And acceptance that it's happened. I have to deal with it. Acceptance of what the future might bring. And that brings really kind of quite a calmness, because you can't fight it. You can't change the future. You certainly can't change the past. You can change the future. You can make it better for yourself in how you, in your mindset of how you approach things, and be positive. You know, if you sit around and think, oh goodness, and wallow in all of this, you ain't going to get anywhere, in my experience anyway. So I took the meditation gave me a positiveness, a focus, thinking about good things, and things like some grounding techniques. You know, sitting standing on the grass with your shoes off, feeling the grass, and channeling all that emotion, all that fear, all that pain, you know, out through your feet, and then just sitting there and just bringing up all that positiveness, you know, and enveloping you was such a great thing. It was a lifesaver, because you can't think about what happened or what could happen. You have to live in the moment of where you are now and be positive of what the future brings. And for me, my mindset was, I have to be positive every day, because every day is a good day. You know, it isn't, because some days there are bad days, but I can only be the best person that I can. And therefore, you know, meditation and grounding was actually vital for me in my mindset, with all the challenges that I had to try and get on in the future. And hopefully, as of here today, talking to you, as of the journey that it brings you on. And those techniques are so, so powerful. One of the interesting things that I got into was colours. You know, wearing different types of colours each day. As this great friend introduced me to, chromotherapy. Sorry, I had to just refer to remind me. Yeah, chromotherapy. So she said, today, Irene, you're going to start wearing orange. Orange is a vibrant colour. You know, the positiveness of orange. So I'd go upstairs and I'd put an orange t-shirt on, and I'd, you know, I'd sit there and say, you know, I'm being positive today. I'm wearing my orange t-shirt. And that was a really, really unusually powerful thing. And then she'd say, today I want you to wear purple. If you can find anything that's got purple on it, because that is a colour of reborn, of rebirth, and looking at the future. So I'd go upstairs, and that morning I'd think about what things I could wear for purple, and it made me kind of oh, this is lovely. I'm in purple. This is me today, and it had such a really positive effect that I actually it was, you know, people often say, you know, what colour you're wearing today, you know, because it was a strong thing to do. It was tangible. I could see it. I could feel it. I could hold this purple object, and it gave me the positiveness and that feeling that there was something around me, or I was holding something that was making me feel better and making me feel good about myself. Yes, I did have one challenge. Obviously, during my experience of cancer through lockdown, I lost my hair, you know, the dreaded hair loss. But then when it grew back, I suddenly had this mop of curly hair, chemo curl, as they call it. What do I do? Suddenly I've got this different hair texture. I've got curly hair. Also now, I've got grey hair. Never had grey hair. I was a vibrant redhead before all of this, and obviously much longer. What on earth do I do with this? So I rang up a big chain, a big national chain of hairdressers, and said, could I talk to somebody or have a consultation with somebody who knew about post-cancer? Oh yes, that's fine, yes. And obviously I want to actually talk to somebody about, you know, can I diet? Or, you know, can I go back to dyeing my hair? And all those things, and also what styles can I use now? What techniques? What products can I use? Oh yes. And then when I went there, this guy I spoke to, he kind of didn't know anything at all. So, you know, I sat there and I tried to explain. I tried to explain about what happens, you know, with chemotherapy, losing your hair. Obviously, people know that. But what happens later on? So suddenly I've got this mop of hair. I look like Brian May, but there's all these massive curls. But obviously during lockdown, I couldn't even get my hair cut, so it was just growing bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, what do I do with this? How do I manage it? What do I put on it? You know, what shampoo should I be using? You know, do I use what brush techniques do I need to think about? And again, about how do I dye my hair? He knew nothing at all about that. And he just kind of cut my hair, and I walked away really disappointed. Haven't been back since.